After my father died, I took a few days off work to handle the funeral alone. My wife refused to come, said she was too emotionally drained from her spin class. When I got back, I sat at the kitchen table holding his watch, the only thing he left me. She walked in, saw it, and said, "Honestly, he wasn't that great. Maybe now you'll stop using him as an excuse for being weak." Then she snatched it from my hand, threw it in the trash, and said, "Grow up." I took it back out and said nothing. This morning, my ex-wife showed up screaming in a bathrobe, hair wet. He took everything. Hey everyone, before we dive in, I have a quick favor to ask. If you enjoy content like this, please hit the subscribe button. It's free, supports the channel, and ensures you never miss out on amazing videos. Alright, let's get started. First time posting, but I've been lurking for years. Never thought I'd be one of those guys writing these kinds of posts, but here we are. Life comes at you fast. Dad passed 3 weeks ago. Pancreatic cancer, the silent killer. By the time they caught it, he was already stage 4. 2 months from diagnosis to funeral. He was 64. Ever had that moment when you realize the person sleeping next to you is basically a stranger? That's where I'm at right now. Sitting on my back porch at 2 a.m., typing this on my phone with shaking hands. Where to start? Dad was a mechanic his whole life. Blue collar, calloused hands, the kind of guy who'd help anyone stranded on the side of the road without expecting anything in return. When I was 12, he took me fishing every Sunday. Not because he particularly loved fishing. He actually hated sitting still that long, but because he knew I needed that quiet time with him. Those mornings on the lake taught me more about patience and resilience than any motivational podcast ever could. Michelle, my wife of 6 years, never really got my dad. She'd make these little comments about his accent or how he didn't know which fork to use at fancy restaurants. I'd laugh it off, thinking she was just joking around. She's from a different background, private schools, European vacations, the works. I thought our differences made us interesting to each other. What a joke that turned out to be. When Dad got sick, I started spending weekends at his place, helping with grocery runs, doctor appointments, and eventually the heavier stuff when he couldn't get out of bed anymore. Michelle came exactly once. She spent the whole time checking her phone and making a big show of opening windows because she couldn't stand the hospital smell. Dad noticed, but being Dad, he just winked at me and said she must be busy with important things. Important things like her spin class and brunch with the girls and whatever the hell else she does with her days while I work 10-hour shifts. 2 days before he died, Dad asked the nurse to help him reach under his pillow. He pulled out this old Tissot watch. Nothing fancy by today's standards, but it was his prized possession. He'd got it after 30 years at the same garage. The back was engraved with his name and years of service. He pressed it into my hand and told me he was proud of the man I'd become. I'm not ashamed to say I broke down. This was a man who'd raised me alone after Mom split when I was 8, who worked doubles to pay for my community college, who taught me how to change a tire, how to treat people with respect, how to keep going when everything feels impossible. When he finally went, I was holding his hand. Michelle was at a spa day with her college friend. Said she couldn't reschedule because it was non-refundable. Anyone still reading this? Am I the crazy one here? The funeral was small. Just me, a couple of Dad's old buddies from the garage, and his sister from Ohio. Michelle texted that morning saying she wasn't feeling well after her spin class. Too emotionally drained to attend. I didn't even bother responding. I took 3 days off work to handle everything. Cleaned out his apartment alone. Donated most of his stuff because that's what he would have wanted. Kept just a few things. His toolbox, the fishing rod, a photo album, and the watch. That watch became my lifeline. This physical connection to him that I could hold on to. When I got back, I was sitting at our kitchen table, just looking at the watch, remembering him telling me about getting it. Michelle walked in with her protein shake and workout gear. She took one look at me and rolled her eyes. Actually rolled her eyes at me sitting there quietly, not bothering anyone. I'll never forget what she said next. The words are burned into my brain. She told me that honestly, my dad wasn't that great, that maybe now I'd stop using him as an excuse for being weak. Then, and I still can't believe this happened, she snatched the watch from my hand, threw it in the kitchen trash, and told me to grow up. Time stopped. Something inside me just went cold. I didn't yell, didn't cry, just got up, reached into the trash, past the coffee grounds and eggshells, and took back the only thing my father left me. Wiped it clean, put it in my pocket, said nothing. She huffed off to shower like nothing happened, like she hadn't just revealed herself to be someone I don't recognize anymore. That night, I lay awake beside her, listening to her breathe, wondering how we got here. 6 years together. A mortgage. Talk of kids someday. All of it suddenly felt like a bizarre dream I needed to wake up from. The next morning, I called my buddy Zachary. We've been friends since high school. He's always been the level-headed one, the guy who thinks before he acts. We met for beers after work, and I told him everything. First thing Zachary asked, has she always been this way, or am I just seeing it clearly now? That question hit me like a truck. Because looking back, the signs were everywhere. The constant little digs about my clothes, my friends, my interests, the eye-rolling when I talked about work, the jokes about how she married down but was noble enough to see past my background, the way she'd go through money, my money, our money, like it was nothing. $400 on face creams, $3,000 on a couch nobody's allowed to actually sit on, Meanwhile, I had to justify buying a $30 video game. Zachary just listened, nursing his beer, then asked to see my phone. He scrolled through my banking app, whistled low, and showed me something I'd missed completely. Over the past year, Michelle has been transferring small amounts, $200 here, $300 there, from our joint account to her personal one. Almost $15,000 total, money that was supposed to be for our future. When I got home that night, I started paying attention. Really paying attention. I checked her Instagram while she was in the shower, found DMs where she complained to her friends about having to deal with my moping and jokes about my daddy issues, saw texts to her mom about how she was stuck with a guy who will never move up in the world, and then I found something else. Messages with her personal trainer. Lots of messages. Late night messages. Can't wait to see you tomorrow messages. It's like the blinders have come off, and I'm seeing everything with painful clarity for the first time. So here's what I've decided. Michelle thinks I'm weak. Thinks my father, the strongest, most decent man I've ever known, wasn't that great. She's about to learn what real strength looks like. I'm not confronting her. Not yet. For now, I'm documenting everything. The money transfers, the texts, the emotional abuse that I somehow normalized over the years. I'm gathering my resources, making plans, and I'm wearing my dad's watch every day. She hates seeing it on my wrist, makes these little comments about it being tacky and outdated. Each time she does, I just smile and nod, because she has no idea what's coming. This morning, I discovered something on my personal laptop. It had synced with the cloud and showed login history from when I was at the funeral. Michelle had gone through my emails, my messages, my personal files, searched for my life insurance policy, bank accounts, and investment information. The woman who couldn't be bothered to attend my father's funeral somehow found the energy to go digging for my financial details while I was burying him. That was the final straw. I'm meeting with a lawyer tomorrow. I've already moved most of my important documents to a safety deposit box, along with Dad's watch when I'm not wearing it. I don't know exactly what the next few weeks will bring, but I know this. The man who raised me deserved better than her disrespect. And honestly, so do I. I'll update when there's more to tell. Thanks for reading this far if you made it. Sometimes just typing it out helps make sense of the madness. James update. I wasn't expecting my last post to blow up like that. Thank you for all the support and advice. Reading your comments made me realize I'm not crazy for feeling the way I do. That validation means more than you know. It's been 2 weeks since my last update, 2 of the most eye-opening weeks of my life. You know that feeling when you're playing a video game and you suddenly level up? Everything gets clearer and you can see things you couldn't before. That's what's happening to me right now. Each day, I notice something new about Michelle that I somehow missed or ignored for years. Yesterday morning, I was in the bathroom when her phone lit up on the counter. Normally, I wouldn't look, privacy and all that, but after everything that's happened, my moral compass has been recalibrated. The notification was from G with a message preview that just said, "Miss you, baby, can't wait." G asking Gustavo, her trainer, who apparently works her out in more ways than one. Confirmation, finally. It's weird how I didn't even feel angry, just relieved, like the last puzzle piece clicking into place. The complete picture of my sham marriage was finally clear. But let me back up. A lot has happened since my last post. The meeting with the lawyer was eye-opening. Turns out in our state, those little transfers Michelle's been making from our joint account, they're considered marital waste and can actually work in my favor during divorce proceedings. The lawyer, a no-nonsense woman who reminded me of my third-grade teacher, laid everything out clearly. Step 1, documentation. Everything. Every nasty text, every financial transfer, every time she belittled me or my dad, her affair, evidence. I've been keeping it all in a folder on my cloud drive with backups on an external hard drive hidden at Zachary's place. Zachary's been a freaking rock through all of this. The kind of friend who shows up with beer and pizza when you're at your lowest, but also calls you on your BS. When I started talking about confronting Michelle in some dramatic showdown, he shut that down real quick. Smart dude, that Zachary. Instead, we've been methodically preparing for what he calls the extraction. Military precise planning for my exit strategy. First, I opened a new bank account at a completely different bank. Started transferring small amounts. Nothing that would trigger her suspicion, just enough to build a cushion. The most surreal part, acting normal around Michelle, smiling at her jokes, pretending I didn't see her texting Gustavo right beside me on the couch, listening to her complain about her friend Michaela's promotion that should have been hers, nodding along while she criticized my dad's old flannel shirts that I kept, all while wearing his watch, every single day. She hates that watch so much. Sometimes I catch her staring at it with this look of pure contempt. Once, she accidentally knocked it off the nightstand, then seemed genuinely surprised when it didn't break. German engineering, baby. Built to last, unlike our marriage. 3 days ago, I had a moment of weakness. We were having dinner, takeout that I paid for as usual, and she was being nice, laughing at my jokes, asking about my day. For a split second, I wondered if I was overreacting, if maybe we could fix this. Then she got a text and her whole demeanor changed. She excused herself to call her mom and was gone for 20 minutes. When she came back, her lipstick was freshly applied. Who reapplies lipstick to talk to their mom on the phone? That night, after she fell asleep, I checked her location history on her tablet that she always leaves charging in the kitchen. Guess where she's been going 3 times a week when she's supposedly at her women-only spin class? To an apartment complex across town. The same complex where, according to his social media, Gustavo lives. What a cliche, right? The wife and the personal trainer. If it wasn't happening to me, I'd probably laugh. Last weekend was the turning point. Michelle announced she was going on a girls' retreat with Michaela and some other friends, a whole weekend at some fancy spa resort. She asked me to transfer $2,000 to her personal account. I transferred the money without complaint, then called Michaela. Me and Michaela have always gotten along well. She's one of the few friends of Michelle's that I actually enjoy talking to. Genuine person, no pretense. So I asked her about the girls' retreat. There was this long pause on the phone. Then Michaela, bless her honest soul, told me there was no retreat. She hadn't seen Michelle in weeks. That confirmation was all I needed. This was happening. The plan was in motion. While Michelle was away on her retreat, aka shacked up with Gustavo for the weekend, I executed the extraction. First stop, the bank. I withdrew my remaining balance from our joint accounts, leaving exactly half of our shared savings. I'm angry, not a thief. The look on the teller's face when I withdrew that much cash was priceless. Had to explain I wasn't being forced to do this at gunpoint or something. Next, cancel all joint credit cards. Called and removed myself as an authorized user, all except one, her favorite shopping card with the high limit. Left that one active. For reasons. Then the apartment. I'd signed a lease earlier that week on a simple one-bedroom place. Nothing fancy, but it's clean and it's mine. Zachary and his brother helped me move the essentials in record time. My clothes, my dad's toolbox, some kitchenware, my gaming setup, the fishing rod. We left all the furniture, all the expensive crap she'd insisted we needed. The $33,000 couch no one can sit on. The artisanal coffee table made from reclaimed driftwood that cost more than my first car. The decorative pillows. So many decorative pillows. The only valuable I took was Dad's watch, currently sitting on my wrist as I type this. Now for the final touches. I left a copy of the divorce papers on the kitchen table. Simple and clean. No dramatic note, no accusations, just the documents and my wedding ring. I also left printouts of her text exchanges with Gustavo, her location history, screenshots, the bank statements showing her secret transfers. And I left one more thing. A receipt for the safety deposit box where I've moved my dad's watch when I'm not wearing it because I know she'll try to get to it. The one thing that actually matters to me. Then I blocked her number, muted her on all social media but didn't unfriend or unfollow. Need to keep tabs. And waited. That was yesterday. She's supposed to be coming home tonight. I'm sitting in my new apartment right now. It's sparse, echoing, a mattress on the floor, my laptop on a folding table, but it's mine, and it's peaceful. My phone's been blowing up with messages from her friends. Apparently she's been telling people for months that I'm unstable and worryingly obsessed with my dad's death, setting the groundwork to paint me as the bad guy when this all falls apart. Nice try, Michelle. Oh, and the joint credit card I left active? Just got an alert. She just charged nearly $3,000 at some high-end boutique. Probably stress shopping. Spend it while you can, babe. The lawyer says I've done everything right. Legally, I'm in the clear. Morally, well, that's more complicated. Sometimes I wake up at 3 a.m. wondering if I should have tried harder to save the marriage. If there were signs earlier, I should have seen. If I could have done something differently. Then I remember how she looked at me when she threw my dad's watch in the trash. Like I was nothing. Like he was nothing. And I remember I'm doing exactly what Dad would have wanted. He always told me, never let anyone make you feel small. Not ever. I'm not being vindictive. I'm not trying to hurt her. I just refuse to be disrespected anymore, by her or anyone else. Dad raised me better than that. For the first time in years, I feel like I can breathe. Like I'm waking up from a long, strange dream where I was slowly shrinking myself to fit someone else's idea of who I should be. No more. Tomorrow is going to be interesting. I've taken the day off work, going fishing at the lake where Dad used to take me. Seems fitting somehow. We'll update when the inevitable hits the fan. Because it will. Mick doesn't handle not getting her way very well. Thanks again for the support, Reddit. Sometimes strangers on the internet understand more than the person sleeping next to you for 6 years. James' final update. Well, Reddit. It happened. I'm sitting in a diner right now, hands still shaking a little as I type this on my phone. The waitress keeps giving me concerned looks as I alternate between laughing to myself and staring blankly at my untouched eggs. Must look like a complete psycho. It's been exactly 3 days since I moved out and left those divorce papers on the kitchen table. 3 days of blessed silence. Well, except for the 50-something missed calls and hundreds of texts that I've been documenting but not responding to. This morning at 6:43 a.m., that silence was shattered. Remember how I mentioned Michelle doesn't know where my new apartment is? Turns out there was one place she could think to look. Zachary's house. Zachary has been my best friend since we were 14. She knows we're tight, so naturally, that's where she went looking at 6:30 this morning. Zachary was awakened by someone pounding on his front door like they were trying to break it down. He stumbled out of bed thinking it might be an emergency. What he found instead was Michelle, hair wet and uncombed, wearing nothing but a bathrobe and slippers, screaming at the top of her lungs. He took everything. Those were her exact words, according to Zachary's play-by-play text to me. All caps worthy. Zachary, absolute legend that he is, didn't open the door fully. Just cracked it with the chain still on, rubbed his eyes, and asked what the hell she was doing at his house at the crack of dawn. Apparently, she launched into a wild rant about how I'd emptied the accounts and disappeared and ruined her life, all while standing on his front porch in a bathrobe, giving his whole neighborhood a free show. When Zachary calmly pointed out that I'd only taken my half of our assets and left her plenty of documentation explaining why, she completely lost it, started crying, then screaming, then crying again. The kicker? She demanded to know where I was hiding all her money. Her money. Not our money, her money. That's when Zachary, who'd had enough of her nonsense for a lifetime, asked her a simple question. If it was all your money, why was my name on the paychecks that earned it? Boom. Mic drop. She tried to push past him into his house. That's when he shut the door, locked it, and called me. I told him to call the police if she wouldn't leave. He didn't have to. The neighbor across the street had already done it, because apparently a screaming woman in a bathrobe at 6:30 a.m. tends to disturb the peace. By the time the cops arrived, Michelle had progressed to sitting on Zachary's front steps, sobbing into her phone. She was trying to get Gustavo to come pick her up, but surprise, surprise, he wasn't answering. The cops were surprisingly chill about the whole thing. Asked her to leave, offered her a ride home, the usual. She refused at first. Said she wasn't leaving until she talked to me. That's when one of them mentioned that if she didn't leave voluntarily, they'd have to consider this trespassing. Suddenly, she was very willing to accept that ride home. Before she left, though, she screamed one more thing at Zachary's house. Something about how my father would be ashamed of me. Wrong move, Michelle. Dead wrong. Now let me backtrack a bit. The last 3 days have been a weird mix of freedom and anxiety. My new apartment feels both empty and full at the same time. Empty of stuff, full of possibility. I've been sleeping better than I have in years. No eggshells to walk on, no criticism to brace for. I set up a therapy appointment with someone named Cheryl that my lawyer recommended. Had my first session yesterday. Cried like a baby talking about Dad. It was needed. I've been going through old photos. Found one of Dad teaching me to change a tire when I was maybe 10. His hands over mine, showing me how to tighten the lug nuts. That patient half smile he always had. Put that one in a frame next to my bed. Work has been a welcome distraction. My coworkers know something's up but haven't pushed. Just invited me to lunch. Kept things normal. I appreciate that more than they know. Yesterday, I finally answered a call from Michelle's mom. She's always been decent to me, despite raising a daughter who, well, you know. The conversation was awkward but necessary. She wanted to know my side of things, because Michelle had been telling her I had some kind of psychotic break and abandoned her. I didn't unload everything. Just calmly explained that I discovered Michelle's affair, her financial deceptions, and couldn't stay in a marriage with someone who treated my father's memory with such disrespect. Then I sent her screenshots of some choice texts between Michelle and Gustavo. There was a long silence on the phone. Then she said something that knocked me sideways. She'd always worried something like this would happen. Turns out Michelle has a pattern. Her high school boyfriend, her college fiancé who called things off 2 weeks before the wedding, all relationships that ended because of her infidelity and manipulation. Her mom apologized to me. Actually apologized. Said she should have warned me somehow, but thought Michelle had changed. People don't change. They just get better at hiding who they really are. After we hung up, I sent similar evidence to Michelle's dad and brother. Not out of spite, but because I know she's probably spinning a story where I'm the villain. I'm done being painted as the bad guy. Now back to this morning. After Michelle's B-movie performance at Zachary's, I decided it was time to break my silence. I texted her a simple message. Meet me at Grove Park, 2 p.m. Public place. Broad daylight. She responded immediately. 3 heart emojis and a thank you. Like we were going to reconcile or something. Delusional doesn't begin to cover it. I got to the park 30 minutes early and sat at a bench near the duck pond. Dad used to bring me here as a kid. Felt fitting somehow. When Michelle showed up, she'd pulled herself together. Designer sunglasses. Hair perfect. Expensive outfit. But I could see the cracks in the facade, the slightly smudged mascara, the tremor in her hands as she clutched her purse. She sat down next to me, already launching into what sounded like a rehearsed speech about forgiveness and second chances and how we could work through this. I let her talk for almost 5 minutes. I just sat there watching the ducks, letting her words wash over me. Then I turned and looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time in our relationship, I interrupted her. I told her I knew everything. The affair with Gustavo, the money transfers, the lies to her friends about me, the way she talked about my dad behind my back. Her face went through a series of expressions: shock, denial, anger, fear. Then finally the one I'd been waiting for: calculation. I could almost see the gears turning as she tried to figure out what angle to play. She went with tears, started crying about how sorry she was, how Gustavo meant nothing, how she'd been stressed and made mistakes, how she'd do anything to fix things. I just held up my hand, didn't raise my voice, didn't get angry, just calmly told her that the divorce was happening and there was nothing she could do to stop it. That's when the mask slipped completely off. She hissed that I was making the biggest mistake of my life, that no one would ever love me like she did, that I was pathetic for being so hung up on my father's death. And then she said the thing that confirmed I was making the right choice. She told me that if I'd just let her throw away that stupid watch, we wouldn't be in this mess. That's when I rolled up my sleeve to show her I was wearing it right then. Dad's watch, still ticking away perfectly after all these years. The look on her face was worth every second of the past 6 years. I stood up, told her my lawyer would be in touch, and walked away while she was still shouting after me, some things about alimony and how she'd take me for everything. Good luck with that, when there's evidence of her affair and financial misconduct. When I got to my car, my phone buzzed with a text from Gustavo. Apparently, Michelle had been blowing up his phone too. He said he was done with the drama and was blocking her number. Attached a screenshot of her threatening to tell his other clients about their relationship if he didn't help her financially. That's the thing about people like Michelle. When the chips are down, they always show their true colors. It's been a few hours since the park confrontation. I've received no fewer than 27 messages from Michelle, ranging from apologetic to threatening to bizarrely nostalgic. I haven't responded to any of them. According to Michaela, who's been keeping me updated, Michelle has been calling everyone we know, trying to borrow money. Her credit cards are maxed out, the mortgage payment is due in 3 days, and Gustavo has apparently changed his locks. Real weakness isn't grieving your father. Real weakness isn't cherishing a memento he left you. Real weakness is building your entire life on lies and manipulation, then falling apart when it all comes crashing down. Dad used to tell me, the truth always rises to the surface, son, like oil on water. You can't keep it down forever. He was right. He was always right. Tonight I'm going to visit his grave, bring him some of those terrible hard candies he loved, tell him about how I finally found my backbone. I think he'd be proud. I don't know what happens next. The divorce will take time, rebuilding my life will take even longer, but for the first time in years, I'm actually excited about the future. Oh, and something unexpected happened yesterday. I ran into Mara at the grocery store, old friend from high school I'd lost touch with. We got to talking in the cereal aisle. She asked about the watch I was wearing and I told her about Dad. She actually listened. Didn't check her phone once. Asked thoughtful questions. We're getting coffee next week. Just as friends. But still, it's nice to be seen. Really seen. For those who followed this whole saga, thank you. Writing it out helped me process everything. Sometimes you need strangers on the internet to confirm you're not going crazy. One last thing. Whatever your equivalent of Dad's watch is in your life, that thing that means everything to you but might seem insignificant to others, don't let anyone make you feel small for valuing it. Not ever. James.